And here we are at the start of year number 3 with your rebuilding Ottawa Senators. That is right. Over the past couple of episodes, we have made several, and I mean several trades. As we take a look back here, 2 second-round picks and a third for Roger Hankin to Detroit. We got a first and Karagianis from Winnipeg in exchange for Toby Wheeland in the 7th. We got a first and a second from Edmonton for Ardern, Barron, and a fourth. We got Roussel, a first and a third from the Islanders for Randolph Rogers. We got the rights to Finn Steiner at the draft in exchange for Balding, 2 seconds and a third, which were all, as we pretty much saw, basically not going to be used based on how thin the draft was this past year. And then we also got the rights to Dmitry Michenko from Pittsburgh in exchange for the rights to Jason Harms, a second and a fourth. And then we got a first round pick from LA in exchange for Pavel Jansa. So a lot of trading going on recently. And we're definitely looking much better on the younger side of things. Now the oldest player on our team is 33, Roussel. And we do have a lot more guys with potential such as Steiner, Sanderson, Dalton Tobias, who we just drafted. So hopefully he makes the team out of camp. If not, that's okay. So we have 33 players on our roster currently. So we're going to go through preseason and see who makes the cut. Oh yeah, and in between videos, I decided to sign Greg Norman, who is a 2.5-star backup goaltender out of free agency. .913 save percentage last year with LA in 49 games played. So figured he would make a good backup to Alan Manning, because as our backup for the second half of last season, after all the deadline trades, we had Lawrence Stretch for 2 games. He wasn't bad. He had a .921 save percentage in 2 games, but I would prefer to have insurance in goal, veteran insurance. I've also called up a lot of depth players such as McNeil and Magnuson. Well, that's unfortunate. Preseason, Ashley Sanderson goes down with a tricep strain for 2 to 3 weeks. So not starting his NHL career out on the right note, unfortunately. So it looks like we're unfortunately starting the season without him, and that's kind of going to hurt because he's got the 3-star talent, 4-star potential. All right, so it's not pretty, but this is our final roster, at least for right now, with Sanderson on the injured reserve list. So in goal, you have Norman and Manning. On defense, you have Seidock, Westerland, Cerrone, Altonen, Karagianis, Coates, and McNeil. Then at forward, you have Werner, who was actually, I almost forgot about actually, because he was on the injured reserve during the offseason, and I think he only just came off of it at the beginning of September, so he had a long injury there. So Pavel Werner will probably be our first-line center, or at least second-line center. Yeah, he's a 4-star ability. He should end up being our first-line center the majority of the year, and that's okay. I just wanted Marple to get top 6 minutes, not necessarily first-line minutes, because I know last year he was on the 4th line majority of the year. Either that or he was rotating between the 3rd or 4th line, but he definitely needs more minutes, and that's what he's going to get this year for sure, because I couldn't imagine he'll be anything less than second line on this team. Then you have Steiner. You also have Kuzniakov, the captain, still on board. Decided to keep him around because he was pretty good, honestly, both offensively and defensively last year. Then you have Marc-Antoine Giroux, Tanner Schinkel, Mickey Murphy, Gabriel Roussel, Jody Merrifield. Dalton Tobias has made the roster, at least to start things out. Damon Coughlin, Jean-Christophe Dion, and Tyler Gariepi. So the preseason's over. We actually won more than we lost. 6-2 win against Anaheim. Then you have a 6-0 loss against Detroit. 5-0 win against the Rangers. 2-1 loss against Vegas. And then in October, a 7-0 loss against Seattle, a 5-4 win against Nashville, and a 4-1 win against Pittsburgh. So, just given the state of this team, I'll take it. I mean, it's obviously preseason, but for the rookies on the team, that was an important experience for sure. So hopefully they take something from that and apply it to the regular season, which they'll definitely be needed, and they'll have to grow if we hope to get anywhere. So having games such as a 6-0 loss to Detroit and a 5-0 win against the Rangers, those are both equally valuable experiences for them in different ways. That, I think we will get into the regular season. And honestly, I think we could go the whole season in this one, because I'm not expecting to make the playoffs. I mean, if we by chance do, then great. But it's very unlikely, especially given, the fact that we're now, rebuilders. I mean, obviously there are still some pretty good veteran players on our team, such as Seidock, Werner, Westerland. But for right now, our focus is to find young players, develop them, and hopefully later on, maybe 2 or 3 years from now, we'll be a contender. And you know what? We do have 4 first-round picks this year. So we obviously have our own, but we also have LA's, Edmonton's, and Winnipeg's. Got to keep an eye on LA, Edmonton, and Winnipeg. All right, so we're at the trade deadline now, basically, so skipping ahead very far. And record-wise, we're essentially in the same situation that we were last year. We are 28, 28, and 2, although obviously now, we have a much younger roster, so it's overall a much better situation. Could we make the playoffs? Yeah. I mean, we're only 1 point behind the Bruins. They only have 2 games in hand, so it's technically possible. Now, I'm obviously not going to go out and make trades that wouldn't make sense for us as an organization, like just where we're at, because it would just be counterproductive. So I'm not going to go trading for any veterans or anyone to improve our team. Like what we have right now is good enough for now, right? The entire point of this season was to develop our young guys, which I think is going pretty well as we take a look at the player stats. Alan Manning, who has played 55 games so far this season with a .915 save percentage. Norman's barely played, and when he does, he's not very good. .866 in 8 games played for him. And actually, as we take a look at the standings, 58 games played. Alan Manning has played in all but 3 of our games. Coach, you need to give him a rest. I mean, listen, I know he's 24. I'm sure he's got a lot left in the tank, energy-wise, but he's eventually going to get like some sort of major injury, and like, we're going to regret it. This is not a year where we need to win anyway. I mean, listen, I know we're close to the playoffs, so we may as well go for it, but not at the expense of overusing our main guy in goal, because I would prefer to have a healthy Alan Manning when we're actually, competing on a regular basis. Defensively, Westerland with 34 points, Karayanis with 27, Cerrone with 17, Coates with 15, Altonen with 12, you have McNeil with 8, Turnbull 3, and unfortunately, earlier in the season, around December, I believe, Luke Seidock got a major torn flexor tendon injury for 3 to 4 months, I believe. He's only played 19 games and has 14 points in those 19 games. So when he's been healthy, he's been producing, but unfortunately got a major injury earlier on that sidelined him for quite a while, and he'll be back soon, but that was a big blow to our season. And forward-wise, you have Merrifield injured. In 45 games played, he has 20 points. And now look at the rest of our forwards. Matt Marple, 59 points in 56 games played. If there's any reason that we are remotely close to the playoffs, it's Alan Manning and Matt Marple. Them two, if without them, we would be probably bottom 5 in the league, I would say. Kuzniakov, the captain, with 42 points in 50 games, continues to be productive even as a 31-year-old, one of the most senior members of this team. And a huge surprise, for me at least, Tanner Schinkel, with 38 points in 49 games played. I didn't even think he would crack the roster, to be honest with you, because he's just overall mostly average. Besides balance and aggression, he's mostly a power forward type. But yeah, overall, good season from him. He's had 144 shots on the season, so I suppose I can see why he's been so successful offensively. Then you have Giroux with 34 points. You have Carrier with 29. Werner with 29 as well. Steiner with 27. Sanderson with 24, Coughlin with 21, 14 for Tobias, 12 for Murphy, 10 for Roussel, and 9 for Gurriapi. So I took a look at the trade block before advancing, and honestly, nothing really stands out. I mean, there was a player on Calgary, Jacob Falk, with a 5-star ability, but that would be way too much to trade for. And it's just, that wouldn't be worth it for the stage where we're at. I think we could just safely advance to the end of the regular season here and just see what happens as far as the playoffs go. But yeah, I'm not making any trades here at the deadline. Well, we're at the end of the season now. We finished 35, 39, and 8, 78 points. Worse than last year for sure. As we take a look at our history, 40, 38, and 4 was our record last year, 84 points. And actually, before I forget, let's take a look at the league standings so we can figure out where our first round picks are. We have LA, Winnipeg, our own, and Edmonton. So LA's at 8, Winnipeg's at 12, so both of them are not lottery picks. We, of course, are at 25, and the Edmonton Oilers all the way down there at 30. So we have 2 opportunities for the first overall pick, and of course, a pretty good chance at 2 top 3 picks as well. So thank you very much, Maverick Ardern, and thank you very much, Edmonton, for accepting that trade. And just as a reminder, here's what we sent to Edmonton to get that pick. We sent them Maverick Ardern along with Kylian Barron and a 4th in exchange for their 1st and 2nd. I believe we may have flipped that 2nd in order to get either Steiner or Machenko, but still, that first round pick ended up being a pretty good one because it's guaranteed to be no less than the 6th overall pick, so I will definitely take it. Anyway, now we'll take a look at the player stats for the season. So Matt Marple, he did slow down towards the end there. He led our team with 68 points in 78 games played, had the most assists and goals, and of course points on the team, plus 19, so he had a really solid sophomore season. Last season, he had just 25 points, so a drastic increase. Of course, his ice time also increased, but he had a very respectable season. And now the surprise for me was Tanner Schinkel with the 53-point season in his rookie year. He may very well win the Calder Trophy here. He may end up winning the Calder Trophy because he's also got a solid overall grade at 72, meaning he was also pretty good defensively. Pressure is Schinkel's middle name. He thrives on it. He's not really that adaptable to new environments or situations. He has also been the subject of more than a few opponents' complaints about his cheap shots. So we got ourselves a bit of a dirty player here, but still, I mean, he was solid. He appears like he's one of those players who you hate to play against, and other fans hate him probably. But he does make a solid impact. There's no doubting that. As long as he doesn't get into too much trouble. I would, of course, prefer not to have him suspended too often, but I don't believe he ran into that trouble this year. He was suspended by the WHL last season, it looks like, but nothing so far in the NHL, so he's been clean. Or at least, clean enough to not be suspended. Definitely surprise of the season right there for me in Tanner Schinkel. Then you have Kuzniakov with 52 points, 44 for Giroux, 42 for Steiner. Solid rookie season for him. I thought he would end up being our rookie of the year, but if anyone, honestly, it's probably going to be Schinkel. Westerlund with 41 points, Carrier with 37, 36 for Werner, 35 for Sanderson. He had a solid rookie season as well. I believe he was on the third line most of the year anyway, because his ice time's at 1646, and where does that rank? Yeah, Marple and Werner had a lot more time than him. Werner especially. Although Werner was probably killing penalties too, so that I guess that would explain a lot of his time on ice compared to Marple and Sanderson. Karagianis with 31 points. Then you have Coughlin with 28, 24 for Cerrone and Merrifield, 22 for Coates, 21 for Aaltonen, 18 for Murphy, 17 for Sidok and Tobias. Sidok, as I mentioned, was injured for a large portion of the season, so he was on pace for about 47 points, so about what he had last year. Gariepy with 14 points in 41 games played, Roussel with 13, Turnbull with 7, and then, of course, Norman and Manning with nothing. However, as we take a look at the goalie stats, coach, you need to turn it back on the games played there for Alan Manning. Like I said, I know he's only 24, but the man needs a break. He's got a .915 save percentage. He had 5 shutouts this year, which for this team, that's pretty impressive, honestly. I actually kind of shocked that he was able to get that many. And he had goals saved above average of over 16, so he is totally worth keeping around. And he was basically able to replicate last season's performance this season. So yeah, he's our guy. He's definitely our guy. Let's take a look at the team stats. We finished 22nd for goals for per game with 2.79. And the goals against per game, we finished 24th with a 3.22. How are we for faceoffs? All right, we're top 11 for faceoffs with a 50.4. Oh boy, those giveaways, 610. But we also had 793 takeaways. So I don't know what it is about that, why the takeaway and giveaway numbers are so inflated. That is definitely not normal. We also had by far the fewest amount of hits. In fact, almost 500 less than the 31st team Vegas with 1,525. We had 1,070. So I don't know if that has anything to do with the takeaways and giveaways numbers being the way they are, but that is definitely, that's quite a huge difference for both hits and takeaways and giveaways. Power play, we were not very good, 16.1, 25th in the league. And the penalty kill, I believe we were towards the bottom, 32nd in the league, in fact, with a 75.5. And we were also the only team in the league without any shorthanded goals. So yeah, it's pretty obvious this team is in its rebuilding phase now, as if it wasn't before, but the stats confirm it. Let's see, what contracts do we have to renew? We have Cerrone, Kuzniakov, Karagianis, Murphy, Merrifield, Coates, Gariepy. I'm not particularly high on Mickey Murphy here. I think I might let him go. Either that or I'll just qualify him and then possibly trade him. I could probably get something for him, just given his age and potential, but I'm not sure I'm going to get much. He wants 1.7. That's more than I'm willing to give him. Like I said, he wasn't impressive, so I guess I'll auto-qualify him and then trade him at the draft or something. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'll auto-qualify. As for Cerrone, he has 24 points this year, 62 grade. I guess he's not terrible, but I don't know about re-signing him right away. I might just wait to see what's out there. Kuzniakov, he wants 7.1 for 2 years. I'll give it to him. It's not like we really have too many other guys to spend that money on anyway at the moment, because our prospects are still a couple years away at least from making that much money, so I'll give it to him, except I'll try taking him down a little bit to 7.03. So it's just barely above what he's making right now for 2 more years. He's been good offensively, he's been good defensively. May as well keep him on board as someone who can lead the young guys into the new era. Karianis, he had 31 points, minus 14. How much does he want? 2.6 for 3 years? For his level of production, point-wise, that's not bad. Then again, his grades weren't too good either. I would prefer not for 3 years. If I could get him for 1 year, I'll do it. Or maybe 2 years, but not 3. Yeah, it doesn't look like he's budging on the term, unfortunately. I'll try 2 years. Yeah, he's not budging on term. Yeah, I'm going to let him walk. I don't want to give a 32-year-old 3 years. Merrifield, he had a good offensive grade at 70. 24 points, 15 goals, 62 games played. What does he want? 4.3. He's been pretty consistent with his grades over the past few years. And he does have the potential to get like 40. If I could take it to maybe 4 mil. All right, I mean, I guess 4.1 works. The 3 years I'm not too terribly a fan of, but at least he's 29. So by the time this contract ends, he'll be 32. Yeah, I'll give this to him. Coates is 29. He had a 70 defensive grade, so it's the highest of the players on this list. Yeah, I'll give it to him. That's a good deal for him. Gariepy I'll bring back as a depth player, and I think I'm done for now. Well, unfortunately, we do not have a Calder Trophy nomination for Mr. Tano Schinkel, so that's unfortunate, but he was definitely our Rookie of the Year, I'll say that. Yeah, I knew he was good defensively. 64 with a 76 offensive grade. Was he our highest offensive grade? He was our highest offensive grade. I wouldn't have thought it out of Schinkel, but certainly proving to be a useful player so far. I mean, I would have thought Marple would have had the highest offensive grade with the season that he had for the most part, 68 points. I thought he would have had higher than a 60, but guess not. All right, so now since we're not in the playoffs, I guess we'll skip ahead to probably the end of the playoffs, I guess. I mean, I'm not sure what else is really for us here. I mean, I'll do the Hall of Fame player nominations and ballots on my own. So yeah, let's just skip ahead to the end of the playoffs here. Oh, by the way, speaking of the Hall of Fame, I don't believe I showed the Hall of Fame inductions from last season. So it was Yosi, Quinn Hughes, Sebastian Aho, and Mitch Marner. I mean, I know that happened during the summer, and I'm way off on that. I should have done that much earlier, but better late than never. And the Stanley Cup champions are the Vegas Golden Knights over the New York Rangers in a 7-game series in the Stanley Cup Finals. So Vegas has gone back-to-back. And how are they looking this year? Oh, yeah. 57, 19, and 6. So they, once again, almost hit 60 wins. Wow. Vegas has been very, very good the past 3 years. So here's something absolutely tragic. Apparently, Michenko, whose rights are set to expire on June 30th, still cannot be signed because he's still under contract to a KHL team. Starting to see why Pittsburgh didn't sign him. I just hope that the game gives us a little grace period. I don't know, because that would suck. That would suck if we can't sign him. I did manage to sign Colin Standing, though. He had himself a pretty good year with the Southern Ontario Junior B, which doesn't sound like college hockey to me. He had 98 points in 43 games played, so he's a little too good for that level. So I did offer him a contract, and he should be coming over next season. Michenko, obviously, that situation, there's not much to be done about, but everybody else whose rights are expiring this year, I am going to leave unsigned. All right, awards time. So the Ted Lindsay and the Art Ross, for once, do not go to Bob O'Finneran. They go to Ilmari Vallon of Seattle. But of course, Bob O'Finneran gets the Maurice Richard. Lady Bing goes to Marco Plouffe of Arizona. And then Quinn Mante of New Jersey gets the Bill Masterton. Anton Allender of the New York Islanders gets the Mark Messier Leadership Award. And the Jennings Trophy goes to Ville Leinonen. And the Hart goes to Ilmari Vallon of Seattle. The Conn Smythe goes to Nicholas Riley of the Rangers. So a situation where the losing team wins the Conn Smythe. I mean, it's understandable, though, here in this situation. 37 points in 25 games played for Nicholas Riley. So look at Vegas's players. Oh, yeah, they had no one close to that. That makes sense. That certainly makes sense. And then Leinonen with a 922 save percentage. I mean, that's respectable, but I mean, come on. 37 points. That is certainly Conn Smythe worthy. And the Calder Trophy goes to Lucas Sova of Pittsburgh. The Norris goes to Steve Stanley of New Jersey. The Frank J. Selke goes to Ryan Haight of Vegas. The Vezina goes to Walt Reed of Philly. The Executive of the Year is Andre Poole of Minnesota. And the Jack Adams goes to Rich Peverly of Chicago. And with that, our season summary, we get a total season score of 7. 466 is our total career score. And one available point may as well max out in-game tactics. Well, our head coach, Phil Manny, after one season with us, has retired. So we're going to have to find yet another new head coach. All right, then. Francis says alone, I guess. As far as player development looks, he looks good. Offensive skills at 19, physical training 18. Defensive skills is a bit lower than I would like to be at 12, but he's far better than any of the other options who are on the filter. And this is what I have the filter at. I have coaching prospects at 16, everything else besides coaching goalies at 12 on the coaching ratings side of things, and then the miscellaneous ratings I have player management, motivation, discipline, tactics, and in-game tactics all at 10. And obviously these are all the coaches that meet that criteria, and I think Anzalone is by far the best, in my opinion anyway. I guess I'll go short. I'll go 2 seasons for him. All right, good. We can still sign Machenko. He's still under our rights. That's good. And he's no longer with his KHL team, meaning we should be able to approach him? Yes. Okay, good. So with Machenko coming on board, I guess it's good that I didn't re-sign Cerrone or Karagianis. And then as far as free agency goes, I think I'm going to wait at least until after the draft's done to see where we're standing. Because as of right now, my only concern is developing the young players that we currently have. So Marple, Sanderson, Steiner, Schinkel, Tobias, standing as well now. So I'm not looking to go out and try to push those guys out of the lineup, So I think I'll advance to the draft lottery and then call it because it's been a long one.